What's up, everybody? This is the pilot podcast for this program called Someday with Jay Barsky. I'm your host, Jay Barsky. I'm a public speaker, health expert, and I like to add some humor into my public speaking. So, whenever I give workshops and I give a lot of public speaking sessions on entrepreneurship and just how to start a business, along with other workshops on improving overall well being, especially when it comes to public health. I'm educated in public health and I love to just give health advice. I do add some humor into a lot of my health education presentations as well, just to add some entertainment into a lot of stuff, what I'm saying. Just being a listener from the other end, I like to see some humor into a lot of the education projects or presentations that I listen to. That's how I really learned early in my life. A lot is just trying to find that entertainment in the education that I'm receiving. I remember when I was very young, I was being taught all the state capitals, and how I learned it was through a really cool rap song. I'm a big hip hop fan myself. I would say I'm not as big as my brother. He was actually a rapper back in the day. So, and I'll probably get into that stuff later on into these podcasts. I kind of want to move on to the purpose of this podcast. Again, the title is called Someday with Jay Barsky. This is a motivation podcast. Overall, you can maybe at some podcast episodes, you might think if it's a comedy, depending on who I'm talking to or the topic I'm talking about. It could be considered a self help podcast, a health podcast, just because it's going to have that health aspect. And I'm going to have some health experts, whether it's holistic or medical. I like to just have people of all various backgrounds involved with this program and what's for it to become. And the title Someday I want to talk about with Jay Barsky being myself, but I got the title Someday because something I've always said to myself, and I'm sure a lot of people have said to themselves, of something they've always wanted to achieve in their lives, just something they want to accomplish their goals, and it looks just so far away. Just anytime that you want your dreams into something realistic, I'm sure at some point in your life you probably or thought to yourself at least, someday, like someday I'm going to have that, someday that's going to be mine, someday this is all going to come together. And I want to help that someday of yours to try to make it today or as soon as possible, at least. I don't want you to knock out that someday and just give up on that someday. I want to see you achieve that someday. This is what I feel like my someday is to start something like this to help people motivate them, whether it's something that you listen to in the morning or something that you go to sleep at night. But the format of these podcasts, my goal is not to keep them too long. I want to start off slow with this. I want to do something maybe bi-weekly. My short-term goal right now, or a couple of short-term goals that I have right now, is maybe just try to knock out the first 3 episodes with this podcast. I do have podcast experience with a previous successful podcast I had, which I'll get into a little bit. But as for the format of this podcast, it's going to be a lot of solo podcasts, which that's the purpose of it. Just me speaking to you and just trying to inspire you in ways to inspire yourself. Whether it's something that's a missing piece in a puzzle that you've been trying to figure out in your head, I want to help guide you to that piece, and so you can help figure it out on your own. There's something inside of you that wants to accomplish your someday and your dream goal. And if I can give a little drop to what helps you finally obtain it, my job is done. You don't even have to listen to any more of these podcasts. Once you've accomplished that goal, my job is done with these podcasts. You're welcome to continue listening to it, which would be awesome with the streams, but I won't get upset with you if you no longer listen to it, if you live the dream that you wanted to dream because of this podcast. So I don't want to rant too much. That sounded a little crazy on my end. Get a little passionate sometimes on some things, and you can tell that I'm passionate on this. Especially, I tried a couple of takes on this. This is probably my 3rd or 4th take doing this on my own. I'm pretty confident with this one that I'm recording right now because I'm recording at my peak performance. After a couple of tries, I think I'm able to finally say what I need to say for this first podcast, which is not too hard if anyone's that's interested in starting a podcast themselves, and which I'm probably going to do a lot of like self-help podcasts too for anyone interested. I've kind of helped a little bit in the past in developing a video, which I'll get into a little bit. But I want to help any way that this podcast or program can help you in your life, the better. In the future podcasts, I'm going to have a lot of just solo podcasts of myself speaking with you, but I'm also going to have people of various backgrounds, whether it's musicians, teachers, my fellow comedian colleagues that I've met throughout my comedic journey. Outside of my comedy, I do have a spiritual journey that I've gone through in my life that I'm still experiencing and meeting great people along the way and people I would love to have on this program. This is kind of also a reason why that I want to start this program is because throughout my journeys and things that I've gotten me to meet people that I would never have thought I would meet in my life and amazing people. These are amazing people that I feel like will motivate you and inspire you in a way that they've inspired me. I'm going to have great guests for you. It's going to be guests that I've met along my journey in life, guests that I've had on my previous work in podcasting, and just some great people that I've never met that I feel like would be a strong impact to you and onto this program. So I don't like to talk too much about myself, especially when I have my guests on here. I want to focus on them and about who they are. I will probably dab into parts of my life and my personal life just because I want you to know who I am. I want you to feel comfortable with what I am speaking on this podcast. So just a little bit about me on this program. I go by Jay Barsky, and I mentioned earlier that I have a background in public health and a lot of experience in public health, especially working domestically and internationally. I'm just really big on self-help and help anyone to improve their physical health, their mental health, and definitely their overall well-being. I'm always trying to better educate myself and on my own issues that I have. Right now, I'm in my mid 30s. I'm 34, and I would say now I'm kind of say that I'm really feeling my age. I know it's really kind of early to say that, but I do a lot of stuff to just help me on my health and just my physical health and my mental health to try to exercise my mind, my body, whether it's doing yoga. I've always had back issues in the past, and what I've done to really help that, which I didn't really expect to help, was getting into yoga. I wouldn't consider myself a yoga teacher. I'm more of just a student of yoga. I hope to include some yoga mentors that I've came across now or will come across in my future and get them on this program. I'm excited about that as well. I talked about a little that I have some podcast experience. I want to say a little bit how I got into doing like a lot of this media stuff. I say right before COVID happened. I want to say maybe 4 or 5 months before I started a YouTube program. I wanted to start an interview series in which you travel around to certain areas and meet people and just talk to them at a really cool spot. It was kind of a mix of like Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown, and just adding a little of what I was into at the time was really and still into is reggae. I'm a big reggae lover of music. Hopefully I'll have some reggae influenced artists on here. And it was pretty cool. It was fun. It was just something I just wanted to start doing just because it's something I was interested and I was like, let me just try it out. Just a couple episodes, maybe see if I can get into this YouTube stuff. So it was fun. I started something out like it was just a couple like first 3 episodes. I was handling a lot of the background, the management, the budget. It's a lot of stuff I really knew how to do anyway. So I handled a lot of the background stuff. I really didn't have the intention to be the person on camera. I always had the intention of someone else doing it, and I had more of a director role, but it just wasn't something I realized I couldn't do, so I just decided to be the person on camera. And maybe the idea was I'll just show how it's done, and then someone else can take over and just be on the camera, and I can be a producer or something like that. Maybe like that was the goal, just a couple episodes, and we'll see where it goes. I end up learning how to do a lot of the editing, the audio editing, the video editing. Along the way, just taught myself all this awesome skills that I thought I would never know how to do in editing, and just how to cut up a lot of this videos, and just try educating myself on videos, video equipment, audio equipment, and just got better along the way, that I could kind of extend it to another maybe 2 episodes of the YouTube program. And it was cool. We did a lot of cooler locations, and you can look it up yourself. It's called Irie Chat. If you look to the very early episodes, it was the first like 5, 6 videos. I mean, I did a lot of different locations within the Southeast, met a couple cool people. And I was including not just like reggae inspired, but it was just comedians, just anyone that I just thought had a cool vibe. And I wanted to keep those videos short, just like 10 minutes, but the interviews were going so long, maybe 30 minutes to an hour, that I didn't really want to put all of that on camera. So, in addition to that, I kind of taught myself how to do podcasting as well. I wanted to release those audio interviews in addition, just to have something out to stream for people to have access to. And then COVID came to the US and everything shut down. You couldn't travel. Places weren't open, people weren't available, people weren't traveling to do tours. So that came to a pause. I was a little bummed about it. I mean, at the time when everyone thought it was just going to be a couple of weeks, I was just planning on the next move. That's all I was doing. And since I've always was interested in doing podcasting in addition to the YouTube program, as soon as COVID came and we realized that it was going to be longer than expected, I kind of just easily made that transition from doing videos to just doing the audios, since I already knew that. So I still continued doing episodes, and so I just continued doing it. And along the way, I was just getting better, teaching myself all of the video, the audio editing, just building the network and meeting more people, whether they were comedians, journalists, musicians, just various backgrounds, to include them on this program. So it was fun. You're welcome to check it out. It's Irie Chat. I think you know the word chat, just like talking, but the word Irie, if you're not familiar with it, it's a Jamaican rooted word meaning awesome, like amazing, just something positive, a positive adjective to anything that you can add on to. So I really love that word. I kind of wanted to do was let that word Irie be more out to the world. I feel like the more positivity that you can bring out to the world, especially with something as simple as words. I consider words are magic. You can change the feelings of anyone's thoughts just with a simple one word, whether to make them happy or sad. It means a lot. And I would say the word Irie is such a cool word. It would be just so awesome that more and more people know a positive word just like Irie. That was a goal of mine. Hopefully a lot of people got a chance to figure out what Irie meant after that, because it took me a while to figure it out. I just heard it out and I never really understood what it meant, and it just took some education on my part to really understand that word. So I do some comedy on the side. I do a mix of comedy. I like to consider myself more of a comedian. I like to do some social media videos, especially with the podcast. I had some comedy writing into these programs, especially with Irie Chat podcast. I did some comedy writing for that. And it's just part of my sense of humor. I've always been a little bit of a geek. I've always made people laugh. Never really thought I was that funny of a person anyways, until I did the Irie Chat program, and then just talking to a lot of comedians themselves, and it kind of inspired me to try to delve deeper into comedy. So I started doing a stand-up and just having fun doing that. So I just do a mix of everything, or not everything, but I do a mix of a lot of stuff, which is the goal of big part of the goal of comedy is to make people laugh. I would say there's other goals in comedy as well. And one thing that I started getting into in my journey in comedy is more of something I've always wanted to delve before I even wanted to get into comedy, was to be more of a motivational speaker. I grew up in low means. I've always worked hard in my life to get anything that I've always wished and dreamed and have. I realized that if I can vision it, I can achieve it. That's kind of what I realized during COVID and when I started the Irie Chat program. I've grew the video quality, the audio quality to being on such a high professional level. You can even see if you go from the very beginning to the end, you can see the growth in the videos. And then by the end of the videos, you can see what I visioned, what it took me a couple of years to finally figure out on my own, which as soon as I started the podcasting, you can see at the very end what I had envisioned in my head the whole time. And I couldn't really figure it out because it's something I'd never really even seen other videos have in their programs. So whether it was something with the Daily Show or anything professional news program, I didn't even see them kind of doing similar to what I was doing. So I kind of figured out to do all of that on my own, and which is kind of why I wanted to start doing a new podcast in itself. Because it was a lot of new skills I've learned with the audio, and I actually enjoyed doing the podcast. It was just having the podcast, and just whether it was just me just talking or just talking to meeting new people, it was just fun to do in the podcast, and it was something that I wanted to continue doing. The program, I didn't expect it to be as long as I took it. I think I've brought it to like maybe 60 interviews with people, or whether it was different bands or just individuals. It was such a niche artwork. I felt like I've reached its limit. I had some great people on there, people that I would love to actually have them on this program. But at some point, things started to open up again, tours or started being booked, people started being less available. I realized that I've extended it as far as I can. I'm very proud of the artwork. It's still on there. I'm going to leave it out for the world to see if people want to see it from years from now, just of something that was done during a really dark time in the world where a lot of people weren't sure what to do, were pretty much at a standstill. And I kind of want to show that even when the world pauses, even you can do something from where you're standing. So I'm proud of it. You're welcome to look at it. It's not active, but I still keep an eye on it since I manage everything on that. My goal right now is to, again, I mentioned that about doing it bi-weekly. A short-term goal of mine right now is probably just to put out 3 episodes and see the interest, and maybe help me guide me a little bit, because since this is a new program, and I kind of want to do something that at least I haven't seen yet before. I've kind of bring in influences that I've had in my other podcasts that I listen to. Some things I'm very big on, or some podcasts I'm very big on, is the Aubrey Marcus podcast. I really think that's kind of made me grow as a man. A lot of things that Aubrey Marcus has said has really helped me on, especially self-love, which I think, at least that's what I listen to the podcast for. I think a lot of people may have different interests in listening to that podcast, but a lot of what grabs my attention is when he talks about just loving yourself and self-love, which I feel like is something I feel like people need to hear more. I'm a big fan of the On Purpose with Jay Shetty. He's more of a meditation podcast, but he has some awesome, amazing guests. And that's another one that I feel that helps me on like self-love, self-help. So I kind of want to bring those influences along with some other influences I have, whether it's from my comedy side or my motivational speaking side, especially my health education side. I kind of want to add those aspects into this program. I have big dreams for this, but my thing is I like to start off small. So again, I'm just going to go back just those 3 episodes. Then after that, I'm going to try to work hard on maybe 10 episodes. I know it doesn't sound too much from previous work doing podcasting. That's a lot of work. And after 10, my other goal, it would be 50, which is really considered a big goal of mine. It's really after 50 episodes that a podcast really comes out of its shell. So I'm going to work hard. I won't give up early on this program, especially a lot of stuff that I've learned along the way. I'm going to make sure I work hard and try to make your someday today. So that's the goal, and off on these podcasts on something, maybe some advice, something to help you get through your day. You can either just take it and have it come in one ear and out the other. You can really just sponge it and reflect on a lot of it. It's up to you what you want to do. There's going to be a lot of these podcasts in which I'm going to say a lot of stuff. It's part of my humor too. So I might say something that's really might be weird and funny, but like again, take it how it is. It's sharing something I've heard before, or it's not sharing something I just want to say that might help you along the way. That's really maybe I've said that helps me. I kind of do that with my comedy. I do a mix of talking about a lot of stuff that's really been hard in my life in comedy that I've kind of made it humorous and to making other people just laugh at it. But I also try to get into some serious topics to make people think. Whenever I'm at least doing my stand up, I don't do my goal is not to keep people laughing all the time. I want you to think about what I'm saying. And then at some point, I'm going to mix it up and make you laugh. But what I want to do is make you think and make you realize that I am relatable. I am you. You are I. We are we. We're all in this together. We all have dreams. We all have goals in our lives. We all want to accomplish it. And I don't think we need to be mean to each other to try to step over each other to do those goals. I think if we just love each other and just help each other out and work together as one, we can achieve anything that we want, anything that we desire. We do that together. You do that with love. You do that with pure love in your heart, pure intention. And whatever you do, you will do it right. You will get what you want. You will achieve what you want. But you have to have pure intentions in your life to accomplish that, to get what you want without any regrets. So, saying all of that, there is something that I want to leave you off just recommending to do in your life, and is to volunteer. I'm always big on volunteerism. I've always been a big activist for volunteerism since I was very young. I was what they would call a candy striper when I was in high school, which just volunteering at a hospital, which was cool. Got to meet a lot of cool people, nice people. It felt good to just help volunteering and doing something right for the world. I just brought that love for volunteerism. I did that throughout college, running a lot of volunteer programs, and I still am always involved with volunteer activities. I do a monthly beach cleanup in my county, and I'm involved with any cleanup actions or any cleanup events going on. The act of volunteerism is always great to have, whether it's with your local Habitat affiliates, your Red Crosses, any other nonprofit organizations that you are volunteering to help out. Just helping those in need, you'll feel better about yourself. You will appreciate everything that you have in your life more. I love volunteering because it just makes me reflect a lot on my life and just how appreciative, even if it was something really bad or horrible experience that I've had in my life, I learned to appreciate every experience I've had because it's brought me to be the self-loving person that I am. And just volunteerism, that kind of just gives you that reminder that you are a good person, that you have a purpose in life, and that someday you will achieve it if you haven't achieved it yet. If you did, then great, awesome. Continue volunteering, whether it's something small or big, the act of love and just giving love out there in the world. Don't expect it back, but it comes back tenfold. But again, that goes back with you having pure intention. As long as your intent is pure, the love that you get back will be just as pure. I've said enough on this program. I believe this is a great start. We're going to do great things together. I hope you enjoyed this pilot episode. I'm going to work hard to make this podcast develop and grow. Definitely watch out for that. If you're able to rate and comment on these, that would just make it grow even better. Feel free to make any comments. If you want to reach out to me, the email address is imjbarsky@gmail.com. On all social media platforms will be imjbarsky. Feel free to give me a follow, comment on anything. We're going to do great things together. I'm happy. I feel good about this. I feel good that I've said all that I wanted to say on this pilot. Feel free to keep an eye out for any upcoming episodes. And if you're listening to this episode and it's like 1,000 episodes in, thanks for coming all the way back to the first episode just to listen to it. That's a lot of scrolling that you got to do. But all right, it's actually time to walk my dog right now. He's getting a little anxious on me. So I'm going to go do that. But don't forget, we're going to do great things. Again, just volunteer, love yourself, and we're going to make your someday happen. So thanks for listening to Someday with Jay Barsky. I love you. You've been great. Take care.